All right, we're back again, ready to get into another puppy draft. This is the puppy 2 draft. If you're unaware, it went the puppy draft, the puppy superflex draft, and now we're on the puppy 2. I feel like there'll be like maybe 5 or 6, maybe 5 when it's all said and done, because I think as the season gets closer, I think that I don't know. I don't think that they'll leave that much time in between puppy drafts. It just doesn't make sense, especially if more and more people are going to want to come and get involved. That might mean more and more scrubs getting our indoor lobbies too, which would always be nice. I hope not laggy. I look kind of laggy up there. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let me know if I'm laggy. Can't tell. Look a little bit laggy. A little bit laggy. Let's see if. Oh wait, I'm not moving now. I'm trying to see on my phone. Look. Okay. All right, I can't tell. Let me know if I look laggier than usual. How about that? But anyways, we are pick 11. You guys know that I love this range, so we're gonna get into it. We have a red badge right off the bat. That's so. Oh, that's the only badge we have, but that's so crazy. A red badge is 1,000 win or 1,000 fantasy football entrants, or maybe just any entries in Underdog. I don't know if it's fantasy football specific or not, but that is a lot of Underdog fantasy. I could say that. But no more badges in the lobby, so we might get into a little scrub lobby, which would be nice. I like drafting in this range at the end of the first round, just because I think you can get a lot of value falling to you here. I mean, pretty much the entire draft, and you can build some unique teams when you're drafting back to back like this. But we'll see if anything falls to us. I'm honestly looking like during this draft. I'm looking to draft the kind of a fun team, a team that's a little different for me. I'm trying to maybe I'll know when my first pick comes around what strategy I want to try out, but I do want to do something a little bit different just for fun. So we'll see what happens. In that range, I'll probably have like a Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry at running back, and then Devontae and CD or something like that. I just don't know. I don't know what I want to do. We'll see. We'll see. I've been seeing Austin Eckler going earlier and earlier as the days go by. I saw him go at 2 in one of my drafts. I don't know if that was a stream draft or not, but I saw him go at number 2 overall, which is pretty crazy. Um, this guy at 5 is absolutely pumped to have Justin Jefferson fall to him. Kind of jealous about that. But usually in this range, I will say, in like the 10, 11, 12 picks, you're not really getting anyone too crazy falling to you. Like the craziest thing you'll see is like a Derrick Henry will fall back there. But you're never really getting any of these top players falling. So um, this isn't really where you look for the ADP value. You look for that a little bit later. So we'll see what we have. I might go double wide receiver, but that also could be a complete lie. I'm I don't know. DeAndre Swift, he was really interesting to me, and now I'm feeling like, what's his name? Travis Etienne is pretty much the same exact player. It's just the case of the unknown with that situation. But I mean, bad quarterback play, committee running back. Basically all his value comes in the receiving game, which I don't know if he's going to be lining up in the slot or not. I'm not sure if that is what I'm hearing. I know James Robinson is going to be 6 to 8 weeks on his recovery from, I think it was an Achilles. So he will have the full workload in the beginning of the season, but I do expect James Robinson to come back because come back to a pretty heavy workload, if not the running back one, just because there's no reason he wouldn't. I mean, he's been impressing every single season that he's been available. But let's see who we have. We're on the clock. Dalvin Cook goes. Derrick Henry falls. CD Lamb. Travis Kelsey. Yeah, so nothing really too crazy here. We'll take Derrick Henry just for the value, and I think it's definitely possible he is a top 5 back this year. So if we're gonna have a seventh overall pick fall to us at 11, we'll take him. But we're back up here again, and we have Travis Kelsey falling to us at pick 14. I've really laid off the Travis Kelsey picks lately, but at this value in the second round, I do want to take him. And no particular reason I've been falling back from him because I do think he's in a lot better of a situation this season than he was last. And he did very well last season as well. So I think he is in a better situation. It's just up in this range where he's usually going. Like for the longest time, he was going from 7 to 12 probably. He's been falling a little bit lately, but usually he's going in this back half of the first round, which I don't really want to pay up for that as much anymore. But now that we have Travis Kelsey, we're going to be looking for Patrick Mahomes. And I think the 5th is where he usually goes. So let's double check that. Patrick Mahomes, 49. Yeah, so we'll pick him at 59 if he falls, but I'm definitely not taking him at 38. It's not really an end-all, be-all for us. And now that we have Travis Kelsey, we're not going to pick any more tight ends till probably the last 2 rounds, unless we get some really good value falling to us in the middle rounds, and we'll take that. But we're going to delay that pick for a while now. Now we're really looking for wide receivers. So let's pull up the big board, see what it's looking like. Saquon Barkley continues to climb the board. I think he's going to start finding his way into early second round as the season comes closer and closer. It's especially in these tournament drafts when people are searching for the ceiling. Like in a redraft, Saquon Barkley isn't nearly as he's not nearly as enticing just because it's his injury history has been absolutely horrible. So when you're looking for a player that will perform every single week, Saquon Barkley is a big risk, but then again, his ceiling is really high. So in these tournament drafts, when you're in tons of them, you got to take your shot on him every once in a while. So that's why you see him climbing the board here these past few weeks. So we're going to pick 35. If DJ Moore falls, that's kind of my ideal pick here. But he's also been climbing the board. So he's found his way all the way up to ADP 30. To the middle of the third round. Yeah, like he was never going before pick 34. Not never, but usually was going 34 to 39, I would say. But he's been climbing the board ever since the Baker Mayfield news. And I think he will continue to climb. I truly think that he's a better pick than Mike Williams. I know Mike Williams' ceiling is extremely high, and if Keenan Allen misses time for any reason, then Mike Williams is going to be a huge he'll have huge potential for a huge season, but I don't know. He's too hit or miss for me. I like taking the shot on him, especially if I'm going wide receiver heavy in the first few rounds, but since I haven't taken a single wide receiver, and that's usually how it goes for me, I'm not usually that interested in Mike Williams. And I would much prefer DJ Moore that's guaranteed a lot more volume. I have almost no exposure to Kyle Pitts. Let me know if that's a complete mistake. I've been I've been so back and forth with him just because I know that the talent's there. I know that he was one of the only tight ends one of the only tight ends drafted in the top 5 picks or top 10 picks or whatever it was. I understand the talent, but I'm just not looking for a tight end in the third round with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. I can't. Maybe that's a mental barrier that I just can't get over, but I haven't been able to pick him that much. I think I have one team with him, maybe 2, in 70 some drafts. So let me know if that's a mistake, but I'm just honestly after Mark Andrews, I'm not super interested until the Robert Tonyan area. So we do see DJ Moore go there. Travis Etienne is available at pick 38? 35. Yeah, so he's not even out of value. So we'll go Cortland Sutton here. We're going to go Cortland Sutton, and we're hoping for Terry McLaurin to make it back to us. That's ideal. I mean, if Etienne's still there, we might go him, actually. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, Terry McLaurin goes anyway, so we're going to go Etienne. And we just started talking about how Etienne is almost like a poor man's DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones type player. So, and I do think that the Jaguars' offense gets a little bit better this year. I've never seen Travis Etienne play a snap of football in my life, so it's kind of hard to pick a running back in the fourth round that I don't really know much about at all, to be honest. But I know the potential's there, and I think that James Robinson injury is going to take a while to heal. We just kind of talked about that a little bit, but in the beginning of the season, he's going to have the entire backfield. So, I get why he's up there. Where is it, James Robinson? James Robinson. Likely not ready for training camp. I didn't even think that was in the range of outcomes. Robinson, Achilles. So it was the Achilles, not the ACL. I feel like so many players like either tore their Achilles, ACL, MCL, whatever, out for the season last year. Tons of players across the league. Robinson's Achilles remains in the recovery program and isn't expected to be ready for the start of training camp. 23. See, that's why I was so surprised that they were moving away from him and grabbing Etienne. Maybe they're really valuing the committee running back offense style. It looks like pretty much everyone is going that route. And the teams that have two top-tier players in the running back position are usually pretty good. So maybe that was intentional. But it is kind of surprising that they went with Travis Etienne in, the first or second round when they had James Robinson at home. Yeah, I didn't think training camp was even in the range of outcomes, so I'm surprised to even see that report. All right, so what are our stacks looking like? We can go with Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence if we're desperate later. I have been liking the idea of going triple running back in the later rounds lately. I feel like you can build such a good running back and wide receiver core in the early rounds, like in the top 10 rounds, and then just wait on quarterback and grab 3. So I've been wanting to do a little bit more of that because other than Superflex, I really haven't done a whole lot of that. But I do think that you can build a really good team, and especially if one of those quarterbacks really hits and steps it up big this year, then it's definitely in the range of outcomes. Like Jameis Winston for me is one of those players that I think could surprise people and have like a top 12 season, like in the Kirk Cousins range, and you're grabbing him at pick 152. So I think that's definitely in the range of outcomes. I think he's a great value. I think he has a potential. I think Jared Goff has potential to put up big games, not necessarily a big season, because I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, and the consistency is not really there for him. But I do think you can get some good games with him. So if you're grabbing 3 quarterbacks, then he's definitely a good option. I think Davis Mills is another kind of surprise candidate that can go from a 204 value to like this Ryan Tannehill, Zach Wilson value. Not a major jump, but bigger value than what you're getting them at. And if you grab 3 of those types of players and the weeks kind of work out as far as how their scores coordinate with one another, then you can end up with a really solid performance when you look at the year as a whole. So I have been liking that. And then it allows you to grab a very elite running back and wide receiver core. So I think that Patrick Mahomes went already over Lamar Jackson. I don't know about that. I think that's a mistake. I truly think Lamar Jackson is going to be set for a season. If you're seeing this, put in the comments or put in the chat what order you'd like me to release my rankings in, because I was thinking that we'll do quarterback first, tight end or quarterback first, have a slow start, and then whatever one we didn't do first, we'll do second, and then we'll really wrap it up with like running back then wide receiver as we close into like mid-August. So I think that's how we're gonna do it. And I also was going back and forth if I just want to do top 12 or if we want to do like top 50 or something and just give less in-depth analysis and more of just like an overall ranking and position, or if we want to go less players and a more in-depth analysis. So I'm still kind of working that out, and I think I'm gonna get working on that this week. But I just don't. I think I like going quarterback first though, and the reason that reminded me of it is I think Lamar. And for these rankings, by the way, I'm not going with what you'll see most places. I'm going to go with how I feel. So Lamar Jackson is going to be 1 or 2 on my list. I can tell you that already. There's going to be some hot takes on that list, but hot takes work out sometimes too. So, I think with Yeah, we're going to go Kyler, and then we're going to try to go Chris Godwin. That's going to be the preferred picks here. And the reason I went with Kyler is we're going... Actually, we're not even going to have a shot at DeAndre Hopkins, are we? 83? No, probably not. But that's okay. We can take a shot potentially at... Zach Ertz, 108. Yeah, we'll take a shot at Zach Ertz at the 9th round. I really don't have a whole lot of Zach Ertz, so that'll be good for some exposure. I like the sack. I don't think you need a sack with Kyler Murray. I think he's one of those players that has enough upside to grab him by himself. And we do want to have a top-tier quarterback on this team, so I like that pick, but we're still going to try to stack him a little bit later. So we'll take Chris Godwin here. I'm still curious to see how his injury heals. It sounds like it's very delayed from what they originally expected, which I know that he's going to start the season on the PUP list, which is 4 weeks right off the bat. Can't play until 4 weeks passes. But I don't expect him to come back for probably 6 weeks, 6 to 8 even. He's a little bit older now, and it sounds like he had a delay in his recovery timetable. So we'll monitor that, but when he does come back, he's going to be a top 12 receiver. Top 24 for sure. And when we're grabbing him in the mid 6th round or beginning of 6th round, I really do like the value, but that does mean that we're not really trying to take a whole lot of shots on rookies and other injured players because we need to pair Chris Godwin up with someone that will produce right away. So we can get through those first 6 to 8 weeks, and then we can really come in full force for the tournament. While we're waiting, I'll do this now. If you want to get into some of these drafts, lots of fun. It is basically $5 for an hour of fun to do one of these drafts. They usually take 50 to 60 minutes roughly, and you pay $5 and you get a chance at winning your money back plus more. I think the top prize for the puppy drafts is $75,000 for a $5 entrance, and you're really just paying for the fun anyways. So if you want to get involved and you're watching these videos and you're not already, go to underdogfantasy.com. Any deposit from $10 to $100 will get matched at 100%. So if you put in $100, they're going to give you another $100 as soon as the money hits your account. And when you do that, use code FFX54. It helps me out getting a few more of these and takes nothing from you. So get involved, have some fun, get yourself a chance at $75,000. But that's my spiel. I'm gonna go to the big board and see if we have any runs. A lot of times you want to keep your eye on runs like these because if you see wide receivers going like this back to back, it's going to push some value down the board at other positions. So you can look to grab those. And then it also means that these teams are going to eventually burn out of the wide receiver position earlier than people that are drafting a more balanced team. So you might get some wide receiver value going later. So if you capitalize on a run like this and grab a value at running back, then in the later rounds when they're having to grab their running backs, you can go ahead and capitalize on some of the value at the wide receiver position. That gets pushed down in this example, but obviously that can get That can be for almost any position, but more times than not, it's for the running back and wide receiver position. So just keep your eyes open. And that's why I like the big board, because you can kind of get a better idea of the trend of the lobby. So it's a good idea to pull this up. You don't want to sit zoomed in like this the whole time, because you don't really know the bigger picture, and that's kind of where you see your trends when you zoom out a little bit to the big board. So just keep, when you're waiting and you have, especially when you're at one of these turns and you have a long time to watch, just pull up the big board and keep an eye on what the draft room as a whole is doing. Like here, since we're zoomed out, we can see that this team took two very good tight ends, so they're probably done. So when we're looking to see if a player might fall to us or not, we can take that into account. And just little things like that you keep your eye on. It gives you a good idea of who you need to take quick and who you can wait and hope that they fall. And every lobby is different too, so it's going to happen differently as you get into more and more drafts. So that's why it's good to just watch every single individual lobby from a zoomed out perspective. But we're coming up here on pick 83. D-Hop did go, of course. We knew that would probably happen, so I'm seeing a stack here that's really enticing to me right now. So I think we're going to try and never mind. I was going to try to go Trey Lance, Brandon Ayuk, but that did not work out. Michael Thomas is a little difficult in this range, but I think we're going to go Michael Thomas. I don't know what his production is going to be like in the beginning of the year. I don't even know if he's going to start the season as a New Orleans Saint. It's very possible he doesn't. So he might have a slow start, but the upside is too high, and I can't let it go. But I do think I want to go. Who do I want to go? Brandon Ayuk or Kadarius Toney? I usually would go Kadarius Toney in this situation, but we're gonna go Brandon Ayuk here. I saw like an Instagram post of him and Trey Lance working out, and I'm sure everyone around the league's doing that, but it's a sign. It's a sign. We'll grab him. And like I said, we have way more Kadarius Toney and Christian Kirk than we do Brandon Ayuk. So we always talk about how we're trying to diversify our fantasy football portfolio here as far as players and builds goes, so that at the end of the year, we'll have a good solid pool of teams to analyze, see what worked, see what didn't, try to find trends within our draft rooms, and analyze it like that. And if I have no exposure to a particular player, then I have nothing to analyze. So that honestly might have even been my first exposure to Brandon Ayuk. So I like that pick there. And we'll if it works out, we'll give credit to the Instagram post. How's that sound? I've been on this Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast bender, and I usually go and get a coffee, iced coffee, with caramel cream and a shot of espresso, and then I get my little turkey sausage, egg, and cheese, right? But every time, I'm at Dunkin', I have to get a donut. I can't not get a donut. It doesn't make sense. I have to get a donut. So I get a donut, and then I drink my fucking massive coffee and eat my sandwich, and I don't want the donut anymore. So I always have a little dessert for after dinner. So today I have a chocolate frosted with sprinkle donut for after this. So I'm really excited to edit the video and eat a little donut. We can't forget that we're looking for Zach Ertz to fall to us. I think that's at this 107, and Joshua has not taken a tight end. So if his value is at like a 108, which I think it is, I don't know if we want to let him fall. I think we're going to go ahead and try to snag him here, because he's kind of our last shot at a productive tight end option, or a productive receiving option to pair with Kyler Murray. So we'll go with that, and maybe in the later rounds we'll grab AJ Green as well, just for the production in the or in the beginning of the season since we have Michael Thomas and Chris Godwin. And honestly, Brandon Ayuk is in the same category as far as a slow start goes, or at least I think he's set for a slower start because Trey Lance has, started a handful of NFL games, and the script will probably be a little more run heavy, especially in the one of the top two most heavy rushing offenses, however you want to say it. And they're probably going to do that to get Trey Lance's feet wet a little bit and build his confidence. So Brandon Ayuk might have a slow start here as well. So I think that AJ Green, it works nicely with the stack with Kyler Murray, but it also gives us a little bit of early season production while DeAndre Hopkins is out, and will probably help us succeed early. That, as far as how to know who's going to produce early versus not, other than injuries, usually the vets will get in there and produce early, and then the younger players will develop as the season goes on. So when you have a very young receiving core, it takes time, especially rookies. It takes time for them to build rapport with their quarterbacks and really get up to speed. So if you have a lot of rookies, like I did, I think in last video, I had Drake London, Treylon Burks, and like Christian Watson or something like that. And when you have that many rookies that have high ceilings but very low floors, especially early in the season, it's good to grab some vets to kind of balance that out and get you through those early weeks until those elite talents get up to speed. And then once they produce, and you don't need the receivers like AJ Green to produce anymore because their spot basically gets taken. So that's usually a good thing to look for when you're building your team. And that's really important, is a lot of people just pick the best available player or the player that they like the most when their picks come around. But every team is different, and grab the values when you can, and then try to build your pieces around the values that you grabbed. It makes it so that the cohesion of your team and the production of your team is a lot more linear instead of being, all over the place. Have really high spike weeks and really low weeks. Because to win the $75,000, you have to win. You have to be in the top two spots in these 12 teams that you're looking at right now. And if you can't get through the beginning of the season, then you're not going to win the league that you're in. So you gotta balance your team out a little bit. Something good to look for. So we are looking for Zach Ertz here, which I don't even know if we are, to be honest. I feel like we have to take him, but we really don't either. Sky Moore is falling very regularly, but I think what we'll do. Oh. I don't even want Zach Ertz, bro. I'm ditching it. If he takes Melvin Gordon, we'll grab Zach Ertz. But if Melvin Gordon's still there, we're ditching Zach Ertz. We have Travis Kelsey. We don't need a tight end right here. The stack is nice. He goes Zach Ertz, so thank God we don't even have to think about it. It's not our fault. Sky Moore is at a value right now, but I really do like Melvin Gordon, and we need a running back. So we're going to go Melvin Gordon in the situation. I think that Melvin Gordon is a safer option, and this is what I'm talking about as far as building your team cohesion and the balance of your team and really focusing on that. Like here, I'm going for Melvin Gordon because Travis Etienne is my spike week candidate, top running back. So he'll fluctuate a little bit more than Derrick Henry and Melvin Gordon will. And then Melvin Gordon will provide a more solid baseline, but a lower ceiling. So we like to have the consistency paired with a spike week candidate in Travis Etienne. Now, if we had someone like a Najee Harris, maybe not even Najee Harris, someone like a Nick Chubb, or who else? If we had someone like a Zeke, like Ezekiel Elliott, that's probably the most comparable player. If we had Zeke instead of Travis Etienne, I think that we go Cordero Patterson in that situation because Cordero Patterson has a higher ceiling if everything works out just based off of volume and how he performed last year. But he also has a lot lower of a floor. He could just get completely phased out by the end of the season based off of injuries, a little bit older. They have Tyler Algier now, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, whatever. So But if I was chasing the ceiling and if I had Zeke here, I would have went Cordero over Melvin Gordon. But obviously, because of my circumstances, we did the opposite. So those little things are good to look at and think about when you're picking your players, and base your picks not just off of value, but off of what other players you already have. Especially when the ADP is like right around where you're picking, you don't have any value, so you got to pick the player that's the best for your team specifically. Moving forward, and now thinking about it, it honestly might have been smarter to go Christian Kirk over Brandon Ayuk back in, pick 80, back at pick 86. Because we have Travis Etienne, then we could shoot for Trevor Lawrence for our second quarterback. He'll be at pick 140. Let's see if that's available, because I still might look at it. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that anyways. So we would have had to reach on Trevor Lawrence, but again, that's something to look at, and that's something that I've learned. Little things like that over the past 70 drafts is you kind of pick up on like, oh shit, I should have took this instead of this, and that would have given me a potential to grab this guy later on and make a nice stack. Like those are the things you only can really learn from experience. Which is why these puppy drafts are so nice, because it's $5. They mean something, so people are trying. You can't have a free league because no one gives a shit. But you put $5 in, you have fun for an hour, you learn some things. So then, come August when you're drafting with your friends and family and the important leagues that have the bragging rights, that's when you're really dialed in and you know what kind of structures you're looking for. Now, they might not work out. It just depends on how intuitive you are and how lucky or unlucky you get with injuries. It really does boil down to injuries because, you can draft a good team, especially when you're at like pick 1 overall. If your number 1 pick gets injured, that's a lot of ground to make up. But depending on how serious your league is, if you have a little bit of experience at all in these drafts, you won't come in last, which is important, especially in friends leagues, because I know our friend league has punishments for for the last place team, or the one with the lowest points. I forget which one, but we have punishments, so you do not want to be last place. And I'm also thinking we're going to look at doing a trophy this year as well. Just kind of more incentives to liven up the fantasy football league. So I've been trying to think of ideas, and if you have any ideas or suggestions, go ahead and throw them in the comments for punishments or for ways to make the league more fun. I'm not interested in doing super flex, but I would be interested in maybe adding a flex spot or something along those lines as well. Take a kicker out. I know that's a more popular thing to do. So we're going to do a little bit of customization in our league. I just don't know what it's going to be quite yet. Who do we want? I really should have been looking at this. We have a plan. Oh. We have a plan. Kind of fell into that one. Hopefully he doesn't take Cole Kmet here. Obviously, that's my new plan. I just realized. So originally I was going to go Cole Kmet and Isaiah Spiller. That was my original plan. But then as I queued up Cole Kmet, I realized that Justin Fields stack was on the horizon for Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet is an amazing option at tight end this year. The Chicago Bears just acquired N'Keal Harry today. I think it was this morning. I don't think that affects Cole Kmet much. I don't think that affects Darnell Mooney much. I think N'Keal Harry is a bad wide receiver in the league. Not worried about it. Now it is possible. I think he was a first round pick. He got picked over Debo, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, etc. Like he got picked over some huge names and was an absolute flop. So being that he was drafted that early means that he definitely has plenty of talent. So I don't know if maybe just the the Patriots scheme didn't work for him and he couldn't buy into the locker room or something. So like maybe he does explode, but Chicago's not necessarily the offense that people go when they're looking to have a good shot at improving their career. It's possible, but definitely not probable. Now, what we could do is grab N'Keal Harry as our final pick and just throw that line in the water as, maybe if things pop off, then we'll have a piece of that. Byron Pringle's the wide receiver 2 option right now, and he's been in trouble off field, and he really wasn't even that great, or he wasn't even that good under Patrick Mahomes, who was arguably the best quarterback in the league. Not in my opinion, but by a lot of people. A lot of people think that, and if you're not producing under arguably the best quarterback in the league, I don't know. I don't know if Justin Fields is really going to do it for you, but we'll grab him just in case, or we'll grab N'Keal Harry for that reason, just in case Byron Pringle continues to fall. N'Keal Harry steps in as a solid wide receiver 2 possession receiver. And then we'll have our foot in the door for both Cole Kmet and N'Keal Harry. And, in that later range, you're kind of just taking shots anyways. So with this construct, we will go for N'Keal Harry as our last pick. And I don't think we're going to have to fight anyone for it either. So it's something we can count on. I think we're going to have a 2 quarterback, 5 running back. What is that, like 8 or 9 wide receiver? 9. I'm really comfortable with my tight end room. I'm really comfortable with my quarterback. So we're good there. We don't need 3 of either. But we definitely need some more running backs, and we definitely will need some more wide receivers. But I'm a little bit more hot on these running backs as these rounds progress. We're 10 picks away. So we're going to be in that 155 range. So that's going to be the Tyler Algier, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyrion Davis-Price, Gus Edwards range. Pretty ugly, I'm not going to lie. So we'll probably be chasing the upside here. So I think if we can, we'll grab... Honestly, I think Kenneth Gainwell is my preferred choice. I don't know if that's crazy. How old is Kenneth Gainwell? He's pretty young, right? Yeah, he's 23. He looked really good last year. Miles Sanders has some injury history. I think Kenneth Gainwell has the most realistic upside. If we're looking just sheer upside, it might be Tyrion Davis-Price, which goes anyway, so we don't have to think about it. Tyrion Davis-Price has the highest upside because he's going into an offense that likes to change their running back every single year, and they're a run-heavy offense. We talked about that earlier in the draft. So if he plays over Elijah Mitchell, which I don't think is going to happen, so I'm not really that in on Tyrion Davis-Price, but if that's what you think is going to happen, then Tyrion Davis-Price definitely has the highest upside, which I'm sure that's how DBT thinks because he reached on him a little bit. And if you think that's what's going to happen as far as the San Francisco 49ers offense goes, then it probably is worth the bet. But I think personally that Kenneth Gainwell has a more realistic upside this year. Now, both of them go, so we don't have the option of either. And this is what we were talking about. There's a little bit of a running back run there, so we might get some value at wide receiver falling to us. But to be honest with you, even if Joshua Palmer falls to us at 155, I'm just not super interested. He goes anyway, so we don't have to think about it, but I'm really just not super interested. Now, we have 5 wide receivers. The question here I'm asking myself is if we want to go DJ Chark and Tyler Algier rather than going Tyler Algier and Gus Edwards. Because I would like grabbing my 2 running backs here because I think you have a better chance at home run hitters later than early or later with running backs than wide receivers. But DJ Chark is going to have really good production in the beginning of the year, and we've already talked about why we need that because Chris Godwin and Michael Thomas and Brandon Ayuk might have slower starts, and Robert Woods. So we're definitely going to go DJ Chark here. Tyler Algier goes anyways, so we might grab a Gus. Yeah, we're going to grab Gus Edwards anyways. We like Khalil Herbert more than both of them. Even if they were all available, we were going Khalil Herbert. Oh, I really don't like Khalil Herbert. That was sarcasm if you couldn't sense it. I do not like Khalil Herbert at all. I can't talk today either. But I think we have to go Khalil. Now, he has the upside of his own. We saw what he could do without David Montgomery. So if something were to happen to David Montgomery, then there's your upside. He's very talented. He would step right in perfectly. He's done it before and produced. So we know that. I would just be pretty surprised if Khalil Herbert or if David Montgomery does go down. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a correlation here is Khalil Herbert, Cole Kmet, and Justin Fields all on the same team. So maybe if they bring Khalil in as a receiving option, then there's some sort of correlation. But honestly, I think that's a little bit forced. I don't think you can really chalk it up as that. And to be honest with you, the problem that I have now is that I don't want to grab N'Keal Harry as my last pick anymore. I don't want 4 Chicago Bears. Maybe I could convince myself if I had 4 Denver Broncos or 4 New Orleans Saints, 4 Tampa Bay Bucks, 4 even Detroit Lions. But Chicago, I can't get there. I can't quite get there, but we need one more running back to complete our running back room, and we need quite a few more wide receivers. So let's pull the big board and see where we're going to be picking. We're going to be picking at 179 and 182. That'll be right in this range, which I'm actually okay with. Tell me your preference between Marlon Mack and Jamal Williams. I think Jamal Williams has a lot higher of an upside, barring injury. But I'd have to imagine that Marlon Mack is the starting running back in Houston right out of the gate. So, and he had some pretty solid seasons in Indianapolis. So I don't think it's out of the range of possibilities that he is a middle range running back when it's all said and done. But I'm not one to bet on that either, and I'm not going to. Preparing for full-time duty. Oh, I don't even know he was injured. Yeah, I'm not reading that. Not today. But I will say, I think it is, as everything sits right now, Marlon Mack is the starter in Houston. And I do think that Houston's offense produces at a higher efficiency rating than they did last year. I think Davis Mills takes a step. And if Marlon Mack comes back from his injury and kind of revitalizes his career a little bit, then it could be a really great value to grab this late. It could be, I'm not going to say the Rashad Penny of last season, but you can paint the picture. I don't think I want to grab James Robinson just because grabbing your own handicap or your own handcuff is it lowers your ceiling a little bit. I think grabbing Marlon Mack, if Marlon Mack and Travis Etienne work out, we have both upsides. Whereas if we grab Travis Etienne and James Robinson, then it's going to be one or the other. They're not both going to be running back 1 in Jacksonville. So I think for this team, we'll grab Marlon Mack if we can. All right, we didn't want Marlon Mack. We were really looking for Jamal Williams there. And the thing I will say about Jamal Williams is barring injury of DeAndre Swift, which, isn't likely, but I do, he is a smaller back, so it's always a possibility. And if something like that did happen, then Jamal Williams would he would skyrocket in value. And even if that doesn't happen, he's still going to be getting the goal line touches. So it's not out of the range of possibilities that Jamal Williams has a couple games with 2 touchdowns. Maybe you get 2 spike weeks at the running back position. And when we're grabbing a running back at pick 178, 179, that's really all we're looking for. We're not looking for a serviceable running back that is in there every single snap and getting a ton of volume. We're looking for those spike weeks, just like we would be at the wide receiver position as well. So we are looking for Jamal Williams here. If he goes, we will go James Robinson, but I would prefer not to. This team is the candidate to take Jamal Williams from us. And honestly, they both are, but this one more so because they only have 3 running backs. So it's possible they even take James Robinson, which at the end of the day, I don't even know if I want James Robinson right here for what we just talked about. He goes Will Fuller. There's really no good pick for me here. I think we will go. We'll go Paris Campbell. Ugh. Yeah, it didn't really shake out for us too well right there, did it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I know what we're doing. Sammy Watkins is just so ugly right here. Oh, am I going to do that? KJ Hamler has a way better opportunity at Spike Week. We'll go Sammy Watkins right here just because the value falling to us. He's ADP 171. We're 182. And honestly, I think he probably deserves to be lower than 171. Like, I don't even think we're getting that much of a value. But I don't have a whole lot of exposure. He is a veteran. We need early production. It's more possible that he has a starting role in the offense than KJ Hamler, which was the other wide receiver we were looking at. But I think we do need some early production. I went with Paris Campbell there because Matt Ryan is coming in, and if Paris Campbell can stay healthy, he was an early draft pick. And he could provide a ceiling for us, a high ceiling or a decent ceiling, I guess. I don't know. He's not an exciting pick, but it's possible that he does end up producing when it's all said and done, even at like a Brandon Ayuk level, which would be, that would be quite the value if we were able to call something like that, but definitely not a sexy pick either. We were really hoping for Jamal Williams and who was it? Who was the other player? Oh my God. The other player was Marlon Mack. Yeah, we would have preferred to go Marlon Mack, then Jamal Williams, but didn't work out. So we had to grab 2 receivers just for depth and hope that next round works a little better. AJ Green goes, so the end of this draft is not really falling how we would have liked, and this is usually when you do get the make or break pick. So the only silver lining here that I can say is that we're getting players we don't normally get, so we'll diversify our exposure. But honestly, that's kind of a stretch. I don't like Paris Campbell. I don't like Sammy Watkins at all, which is why I don't have them. But we'll have the exposure nonetheless. We'll chalk it up to that. We'll chalk it up to diversifying the portfolio and move on. That's all you can do. That's all you can do at this point. But the player I'm looking to fall to us at 203 and 206 would preferably be Brian Robinson or Jerick McKinnon. I prefer Brian Robinson based on the ceiling. If Antonio Gibson goes out there week 1, week 2, fumbles back-to-back, Brian Robinson's your starting running back in Washington, which should be a little better of an offense led by Carson Wentz. So I do like the upside there, but I think it is a little bit of a long shot that he reaches us. I will say it looks like most teams are pretty set on their running backs. However, this team right here, Olaka, I think they only have 3. Yeah, they went first 3 running backs, and they haven't gone running back since. So they'll probably pick 1 or maybe 2 running backs back-to-back here. So you can expect what was his name? Brian Robinson or Jerick McKinnon to go there. So we're just going to have to take whoever falls to us because after Jerick McKinnon, Deontay Foreman and Chris Evans is basically solely their upside is solely based on injury, which I never like players like that, especially in the running back position. Gets ugly. Gets ugly. That's why we're trying to go Marlon Mack or Jamal Williams before that large drop off. I would have to imagine that Olaka and honestly probably fantasy by Frank. Fantasy by Frank goes Jerick McKinnon. Olaka goes Brian Robinson. That's my guess. Come on. Just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, so I had him backwards. Olaka will go Jerick McKinnon. I'd have to imagine. If not, we'll go Deontay Foreman. It's not the end of the world. He has his upside too. Christian McCaffrey gets injured all the time. And even if he doesn't get injured, then you'd have to imagine that Carolina's going to start limiting his touches. So they'll probably give a little bit of work to Deontay Foreman regardless. I know Chuba Hubbard's still there, but Deontay Foreman did pretty well last season in Derrick Henry's absence. So he'll probably get the exposure over. Wow. That almost was bad. Over Chuba Hubbard. So, he has his upside, and it's our fifth running back, so it's not the end of the world. But we almost had a really bad situation on our hands there because I didn't expect that. What's his name? Oh, wait. I didn't expect that Kurek would go a 6 running back. So I thought he was about to take Jerick McKinnon, which I would have assumed Olaka would have taken Deontay Foreman from us, which then we would have had to take Chris Evans or Zamir White. But both of those picks are way uglier than Deontay Foreman. So got a little bit lucky that Olaka went David Bell, and I'm surprised he hasn't taken another running back. He has a ton of receivers. 11? Oh, my friend, you do not need 11 receivers. Holy shit. And he went another one. So he stuck to 3 running backs. This guy is wildin'. Absolutely wildin'. And then we went James Washington as our last pick because I think he has a little bit of early season production while he's waiting for Michael Gallup to get back. He'll probably be the wide receiver too in that offense. So, we've already talked about why we're looking for that early season production. So, before I head out, our final team: 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 9 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Our quarterbacks are Kyler Murray, no stack. Unfortunate, but I think it can work. Justin Fields. Running back position is Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, Melvin Gordon, Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman. Wide receiver is Courtland Sutton, Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas, Brandon Ayuk, Robert Woods, DJ Chark, Paris Campbell, Sammy Watkins, James Washington, and our tight ends are Travis Kelsey and Cole Kmet, stacked with Justin Fields. We said it at the beginning of the draft, so it's a fair excuse to make right now. That is not my favorite team. Probably one of my ugliest teams as far as my bias go. I think on paper it's a fine team, but as far as the players I prefer, that is one of my least favorites. But we did say we were going to try something different, and we were going to try to make a draft that's just a little bit of fun, we were going to grab players that we weren't necessarily fans of and that were a little bit different, and players that we had lower exposure to, which we did do that successfully. But it's not a surprise that we don't like the team at the end of the day. But as always, Best Ball Mania is always a blast. So get in here, sign up, get your free money. Use code FFX54 when you do. If you're still in this video and it's this late, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you can see when I'm live next, so we can get into some live interactions, live chat, and potentially a live draft. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday for me because I got off Friday. I did 4 10s this week instead of 5 8s. So I'm off Friday, but regardless, we will be drafting another puppy draft team. So probably right around the same time, but yeah. So everyone enjoy your night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.